Marco. Marco. Ah! All right. My talk today is about children's games and where they come from and how they evolve. Most of you are familiar with Marco Polo, a game played in a swimming pool, I'm sure. When was the last time you played Marco Polo? A long time ago. And Marco Polo plays a major role in the game that I'm going to unpack with you today. It's a devil of a great game. The one we know as the Mexican Fuñata. The one we know as the Mexican Piñata. The Mexican Piñata? How many of you have played con una piñata recently? Show of hands. Oh, yeah? Oh, tell me your name. Taina. And what was the last time you played with a piñata? At a birthday party. Anybody else birthday party? Yeah. We're going to walk through the fascinating history of the piñata, so you'll hear Chinese, Italian, and Spanish spoken throughout. This talk is designed to be interactive in the spirit of the topic. It's okay to watch, but it's more fun to play at whatever level you're comfortable participating. I hope I've intrigued you. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to my talk today. And thank you for your interest in this topic and for the invitation from TEDx Miami today. I know it's pronounced Miami and not Miami, Florida, because my father Ramiro was born right here in Arizona. He worked as a minero in a copper mine here in Miami, just right down the road from here. I think it was called the Inspiration Mine. Has anybody been to Miami? Is anybody from Miami? No. Okay. Any San Diegans here? A lot of travelers here from San Diego today. Okay. I'm Rick Okita. Okita. I know it sounds Japanese. Okita. I don't know what it means, but it's an Opata name. The Okitas come from Arivechi, Sonora, Mexico. In the idioma Opata, in the Opata language, Arivechi means el lugar de las calaveras, the place of the skeleton. My grandfather made his way from Arivechi to Miami to work in the copper mines, also right down the road. I'm originally also from San Diego, and I live in Berlin now most of the year. I'm not a historian, I'm not an academic, I'm a storyteller. My story today is not just about the piñata, although that's the mother, if you will, of our new idea. Our discussion is about reflecting on the weight and on the symbolism of that tradition and how it led to an innovation and a promise that I made to share with you today. It's October 31st, 2014. I'm holding my father's hand, El Minero. His breathing is erratic and he's hard to understand, but he's whispering in a rush, and I'm straining to hear what he's trying to tell me. And then I hear clearly, Mijo. There's a box in the garage. You have to reach high to find it. It's heavy. I want you to have it. Maybe you can do something with it. I tried, I never could. El Minero passed over on November 1st, El Día de los Muertos, and I'm here to share his vision with you today. That promise to my father is today's idea worth sharing. Today I offer you La Fuñata. A what? Yeah, a Fuñata. But first, can we go to the next slide, please? But first, we have to crack open the piñata and trace its history to understand what's new about the Fuñata. Do you want to see Satan? No. As cute as a lamb, but hiding wolf's teeth behind a cotton candy smile. Here it is, El Diablo! This is the original design of the Mexican piñata. Yes, it's a popular birthday party game, but we're going to see that it has a fascinating history. This is a container that holds dark and light, joy and sadness, fear and courage, truth and deception. This Pandora's plaything holds secrets and ghosts that continue to haunt me. That is likely very, very different from your experience because of the story that piñata had in my family. For my mother, Luz, this was the devil in disguise. Again, that's about my family story. Your experience is maybe it's different, but picture this. Little Gabe is having his 7th grade birthday party. He's invited friends from his catechism class and kids from Mrs. Nelson's after-school chess club. He's been blindfolded, given a baseball bat, and spun around 3 times. A ring of doe-eyed, sugar-addicted 2nd graders scream for him to destroy the piñata! And little Gabe starts to swing and swing. And the screams move up a decibel, which adds fuel to the swings, but he's batting air, so he starts to swing wider and wider, edging closer and closer to the party guests. Pause here, because what happens next is a tragedy that rips apart not the piñata, but the family of one little girl who is struck demonically in the head by a blindfolded birthday boy Gabe. No, that never happened. It could have. Has it happened? Oh, yes. Were you the hitter or the hittee?
The observing.
Was there blood involved?
Yes.
You see? Evil, evil, evil! Ah! The piñata. Violent, antiquated, overpriced, cliche, non-reusable, eco-unfriendly, boring for adults. What little Gabe should have had at his party is a non-violent, eco-friendly, recyclable, educational, affordable, reusable party game that's fun for all ages. You know? Yes, non-competitive, inclusive, and community-oriented. Take a back seat, piñata. Meet the Fuñata. ¿Una qué? Una Fuñata! Por supuesto, it's the new game everybody's going to be talking about. It's like a piñata, but better. That is a slightly tongue-in-cheek presentation of a marketing letter that my father wrote in the mid-'80s to companies such as Disney and M&M to promote his Fuñata. Now, the inventor's narrative is familiar: sweating over designs, researching materials, fleshing out and testing his game, shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars on expensive patents and lawyers, mortgaging the house to keep his dream alive. And in this version of the story, finding zero interest, zero support. I mean, to be honest, I was embarrassed by it. I was embarrassed. I thought it was a waste. I didn't get it. I wasn't there when my father needed me, and this was his last wish. This is the legacy my father wanted to leave. I wish that he could have been here with us. I So, okay, I'm going to walk you through the history of the piñata to understand how today's game connects us and departs from tradition. But before we do, since this talk is about the Fuñata, I want to teach you how the game is played. This talk is interactive, so you'll be invited to participate. It's at the heart of the game. It's okay to watch, but it's more fun to play. Okay. I'm no se preocupen. I take good care of my introverted friends. Birds of a feather. Participate or not, whatever level you want, if you're comfortable. Okay. So here's the game. ¿Listos? Bueno. Okay. There are colored ribbons, and each ribbon has a different activity. My dad called them penas, like tasks or dares. I think of them as opportunities. You have to get through all of the penas to get to the prize. Okay. But his game was never about the candy. It was never about the candy. It's about how we get there, being together, being seen, treating each other with respect and compassion. Glad on the candy too. I mean, por supuesto. Okay. First color of the rainbow. Red. Bueno. Rojo, red, rojo. Ábrete los ojos. Red, rojo, red. Dance is what we say. Okay. A red ribbon to get us started with the dance, and we need one of you to teach us a dance. Mira, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to throw the red ribbon over my head, and whoever catches it is our first player. Okay. Here, let's see. Let's see where this ribbon will go. You can keep the ribbon. Tell me your name again. Taina, do you want to keep the ribbon and show us the dance, or pass it to a friend? Okay, come on up. Yes, go ahead. Our first player. Okay. Good. So, the activities are always tailored to your abilities and your comfortable levels of interaction. You can make a chair dance, you can make an eyebrow dance from your chair, you can make a hand dance, but here we are.
Yes, Evelyn.
Evelyn, okay, good. So let's see, just teach you. Okay.
Okay, let me see. The sprinkler.
The sprinkler. Everybody up. Oh, you can do it from your chair, but if you can stand, yeah, we'll do the sprinkler. Ready? Ready? We're following Evelyn, our first player. Ready? And sprinkler. Bueno, thank you very much. Stay nearby because you're going to be the next. Yes, exactly. You can sit here. You can sit here. Oh, you're going to come up. Yeah, sit here. That's it. Yeah. Summer 12 with a capital S. Got it. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you for getting us in the mood with the sprinkler. It goes cheap, the sprinkler dance. Good. Believe it or not, Evelyn, I am very shy. It's socially awkward. I know. I dance to relieve the stress. That's we got that in common. Have to get through the fear to get to the fun. So red is our dance. Now, the way the Fuñata game begins is with the party host me throwing the first ribbon, and whoever catches it is the first player. The second player is chosen when the first player throws the ribbon over your head in the same way, and so on and so on and so on. So our last ribbon. And if you catch the ribbon, you can generously gift to lead the ribbon to somebody else in the room who leads the activity. So red player, you're going to throw the second ribbon, which is our next color in the rainbow. Ajá, naranja. Esta como se canta. To orange will swoon when you sing us a tune. Okay? So our next player is going to teach us a song. Now, you can be creative with the way that but you should throw it blind. So either turning around backwards, and let's see, you see people sat way in the back, so you can be also clever and make your way back up. There. Let's see. I
don't want to risk.
Yeah.
This is very hard.
Okay, let's see what's
A ver,
No, underhead. You're gonna hurt someone.
yeah, ¿verdad? Ok. Sí.
Vamos a cerrar.
Ah,
push. Thank you. Yeah, we'll keep it here. We'll just keep the ribbons here. Good. Away. So, orange player, you're going to lead us in a song, but I'm going to help you out today. We're going to learn some songs that will guide us down the fascinating history of the piñata. First, I will teach you a simple tune. ¿Cómo estamos con la computadora? Everything okay? All right. First, I'll teach you a simple tune, and then we'll both lead the group in a song. Okay, sound good? Here's our first song. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So can we take that off, and I'll teach you the first song. Can we take that off? Good. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi ya. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi ya. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi. Good. Good. We'll do this together. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi ya. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi. All right. Thank you very much. Great. Hold on to your grip. We're going to go again soon. Does anybody recognize that song? No? Okay. It's a Chinese New Year song. It's a Chinese New Year song. Can I have the next slide, please? No. Can we have the next slide, please?
A slide of the translation of the song shows.
Aha, okay.
What does it mean?
Slide Q8, a group of hanging piñatas. Great, there we are. You might be surprised to know that the piñata didn't originate as a children's party game, and even though it is a big part of Mexican culture, there are some who attribute China as its point of origin. So, let's track that version of the story, which begins in China, which gave us the compass, gunpowder, paper, the kite, the wheelbarrow, silk, and a tradition called dachu, which means hitting the spring ox. Imagine. The year is 1275. A Kazakh father in Jinzhong, a city in North China's Jiangxi province, is ringing in the Lunar New Year with his family. He might be singing, "每条大街小巷，每个人的距离，简单的一句话，就是恭喜恭喜，恭喜恭喜恭喜你呀，恭喜恭喜恭喜你." Good, thank you. The Kazakh farmer teaches his son and daughter how to dance Heitsuma. I picture him kind of like my own father. Kids, this is fun, isn't it? To tell you the truth, this dance is a little hard for me. He says, I like the more casual style. The kids roll their eyes. Oh, very good. The farmer sees a crowd gathered around an animal figure singing. Everybody. Gong shi gong shi gong shi mi ya, gong shi gong shi gong shi mi. He points at the dachunio being played and explains to his children that the dachunio means beating the spring ox to honor the god of grain and to pray for a good harvest. So, to honor a good harvest. Now, the dachunio tradition will sound familiar because celebrants use a colorful club to beat an earthen cow figure. The animal figure is filled with 5 kinds of seeds. He says, and the seeds spread when the figure is opened, which means a good harvest for the new year ahead. Children, we burn the seeds and keep the ashes all year for good luck. And after the dachunio, the farmer and his family go off to a lantern festival and a guessing game and then the maze walk. One more time. Gong You heard a Chinese song today. Kids say it's so American. Poor dad, he's trying. History gives us clues as to what may have happened next, and we're going to take liberties here for the benefit of the story. Let's break it down. So let's say that at that very moment, a Kazakh farmer bumps into a foreigner checking out the celebration. A Venetian explorer named Marco. You got it. Marco, the Venetian explorer, began his journey to the east in 1271 with his father Niccolo and his uncle Matteo at 17 years old. I picture him as this romantic with a touch of imposter syndrome. You know, you want to believe him when he says, "Oh, I've been following the Silk Road for 24 years," and became a confidant of the Kubla Khan. According to lore, when I return to Italy for my travels to China, I will bring noodles, the idea of coal, eyeglasses, a complex postal system, paper currency, and the Dutch meal. Prego. I'm off to Persia and then to prison. Arrivederci. In 1298, just a few years after returning to Venice, Marco commanded a ship in a war against the rival city of Genoa. He was captured and spent several months in a Genoese prison where he met a fellow prisoner and a writer of romances named Rustichello della Pisa. Sorry for speaking. And he dictated an account of Marco travels in a book called the Book of Martyrs. Now, I'm not a historian, all right, but in the reading, Marco Polo's accounts have been challenged because there's a lot of inaccuracies. Rustichello della Pisa glamorized the story, incorporated fantasy, tales of his own. He collected anecdotes from other travelers, put them in this Book of Marvels. Quien sabe, we can't be sure because there's no actual original, but they say that since there are more accurate details than other travelers' accounts, the popular narrative is that Marco brought the Dutch meal to Europe. We need a song here to keep us afloat. So can you pass the ribbon to someone else in another player here? So maybe you can follow the rules of the game, turning yourself backwards and gently, maybe on this side here. You can gift it to somebody else in the audience. You can gift it to somebody else. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Wait, we can see you. You come up here, or we'll teach you from here. Yeah, we'll come here. Okay, so this is the song that we're going to teach today.
Okay.
It's tra la 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 la. Tra la 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 la. Tralalero. Tralalero. Tralalero, lero, la. Good, let's do this together. Tra la 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 la. Tra la 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 la. Tralalero, 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 lero, la. Okay, stay in your body. We're going to cue them. This is something. In just a moment, Claudette. Thank you very much. Here we go. Off we go to Carnevale, and we'll both cue you. Right? And we come to the song. Ready? And. Viva, viva Carnevale, con gli scherzi gentilità. Viva, viva Carnevale, l'allegria che porterà. E qua viva fa cugino insieme alle tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la, tra la le, tra la le, tra la le, let's move to the side. Dietro la luce nella stanza, Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-lero, 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 lero. Thank you, Clown. The Dacuneo traveled from China to Italy, where it was renamed after the Italian word piñata, or fragile pot, and was filled with trinkets, jewelry, or candy instead of seeds. It became popular at the end of the carnival parties, the first Sunday of Lent. We hop over to Sicily, where a grandfather and his grandson are having a tender moment. Nonno, c'è cosa una piñata? Bambino, è un gioco tradizionale dove i giocatori delle dati devono colpire e rompere con un bastone un contenitore a peso. Ah, bambino, the Borbone at the royal house fill it with gold and gems. That's too decadent. We aren't so rich, bambino. So, we fill the terracotta pot with sweets. Who strikes the pentolaccia is called scuoti piñata. Scuoti piñata. See, a piñata shaker. Oh, and one more thing, bambino, you should know for the future. Piñata also means homosexual in Italian. Oh, okay. I guess that will make sense to me later, no, when I'm beaten like a piñata for not fitting gender norms. Grazie. Oh, prego, bambino. Piñata, or pentolaccia, or piñanculo, refers to a passive homosexual, probably because the idea of a container or a recipient. It reflects the obsession in Italy with body gaze. For me as a gay man, that gesture, that swinging, especially in our culture, doesn't have me screaming for more. Just me. But that's not what this is about. I don't mean that piñata's bad. Like I said, we may have very different experience. I haven't seen a gay club here in Miami. Miami, sorry. Sophia, how about another song?
Un domingo de piñata, un niño se perdió cuando la nariz jugaba un vestidito de
I'm sorry, I can change it slightly.
La madre desesperada lo busca como una loca, horrible de repente, y con su nombre en la boca va preguntando a la gente.
The tradition then spread to Spain, where breaking the piñata became a custom on the first Sunday of Lent. That day became Domingo de Piñata. I'm so sorry. But can you go back? Just anyway, this is right. That's my dad, El Minero. That's my mom, La Luz, and this is my grandmother. Anyway, yeah, my grandmother, she crossed over from Chihuahua, fleeing, yeah. And my mom is from Medellin, Colombia. She's fleeing a broken family. Anyway, where were we? Right. The masked ball is in full swing, and the highlight is the vivacious piñata party. China, Italy, Spain, that's one line of the story, which seems to be the popular narrative. But as we know, history is written by victors. There's a significant trail that is often presented as a historical side note, not a back alley in the reading. Right. Because mientras tanto, the Mayans and Aztecs already have some information. in Tenochtitlan during the winter solstice, or Banquetzalitzli, did I say that right? Banquetzalitzli, yeah. An Aztec priest is placing a clay pot resembling a Huitzilopochtli on a pole in the god's temple to help the people celebrate the birthday of the god of the sun and war. Huitzilopochtli, the warrior, he who acts on high, follows his own path. Oh, marvelous dweller among clouds. Oh, dweller in the region of the frozen wings, who causes the walls of fire to fall down where the feathers are gathered. Thus he wages war and subdues the peoples. Eager for war, the flaming one descends. He rages where the whirling dust arises. Come to our aid. There is war. There is burning. Those Pipitlan are our enemies. The priest decorates the pot with colorful feathers and fills it with tiny treasures. Painted stones, berries, nuts, and ornaments. The pot is placed on a pole before the image of Huitzilopochtli, and a person is selected who is blindfolded, given a stick. And then, dale, the treasure that spills out is offered to Huitzilopochtli. Hernán Cortés. Right, Hernán Cortés invades Tenochtitlan in 1519. Blood flows and the people are starved into surrender. The native people are enslaved, traditions are crushed and consumed, history is rewritten and rewritten by the victors. According to historians, my Oata ancestors in Sonora initially fiercely resisted the expedition of the Spanish explorer Francisco Ibarra in 1565, and for a period of 60 years after. The Spanish made no further attempts to conquer that part of Sonora, the Oateria, but eventually the people allied and intermarried themselves out of tribal existence, so they say. Evidently, in the Oateria, being homosexual, trans, cross-dressing, or being in a same-sex couple isn't taboo. Works for me. I mean, beats the whispering and shaming I grew up with. Calaveras in the closet is what I should call this talk. Anyway, the Spaniards colonized by befriending children, constructing conversion centers on religious sites, training teens to preach, and assimilating indigenous practices into theirs. In 1586, the Augustinian friars in Acolman received authorization from Pope Sixtus V to hold what were called misas de aguinaldo, special masses that took place before Christmas, which later became the Mosas. A zealous Augustine missionary, Fray Diego de Soria, left behind his home in Los Guerres, Toledo, Spain, to bring the golden light of God's word to the New World. My mission is to bring the word of God to the ungodly. I love these humble people like my own family. Beautiful people, wise people, but not wise in God's eyes. I am an instrument of God to bring my brothers and sisters into a Christian way of life. Paradise can only be enjoyed through obedience and acceptance of biblical values. My calling is to reach out God's hand to the blind and help these lost sheep find their shelter. There must be some way that I can reach them. Oh, they make offerings to gods of war and hit ceremonial pots with feathers. It's base. It's naive. It's piñatas. We'll exploit the pagan connection and use the piñata as a conversion tool for religious catechism during December. We'll cover them with colored paper. That will attract people to our ceremonies. We'll introduce it as a tradition every year at Mass before Christmas. But they love poems and stories, so we'll create a story, an allegory, to teach them the principles of Christianity. And they're hungry, so we'll fill it with pots, fruits, and nuts. Eating the piñata will symbolize the Christian struggle to conquer the devil and sin. The piñata will represent Satan. My work here is done. I'm off to the Philippines. Adios. And that, mis amigos, is the beginning of Las Posadas and the dizzying history of this swinging devil. There is an absence of research on the secularization of the piñata. I'm happy for any information that you have. Over time, the piñata lost its symbolism and religious significance, and I have a note here that I should use the terminology commercialization and religious syncretism. The piñata continues to be part of the festivities of the Posadas during the Christmas season in Mexican culture. The star-shaped piñata now represents the star that guided the astrologers to Bethlehem. So that lays down a background for us of the piñata, but what other secrets is the piñata hiding? And how does that move us towards an understanding of the pañata? A what? A pañata. Yeah, but what is it? Well, we're learning the rules of the pañata game, but we don't have the pañata. I didn't make it. Maybe it's got stopped by ice. Yes, it wouldn't shock me. But we do have the artist today. Michelle Guerrero is here. Can you stand up, please? Michelle, the artist is here. Michelle, I'm so sorry. I'm really, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't have a photo of it on my phone. If you do, maybe we can just pass it around in the pocket. I'm so sorry. Okay, but anyway, it's about this big, and it has two sides to it, and it has a lot of ribbons hanging from the bottom of it. Is there anything else you want to say about it? Anyway, so but you know, it's like the two sides are like old man and galera, right, and like light and dark, heaven and earth. Okay, but anyway, the game is the 7 colored ribbons each have a task assigned to them. There's black and white and colored ribbons, and one of the black or the white ribbons opens up the bottom of the pañata. But you have to get through all the 7 ribbons before you can pull one of the black or the white ribbons. And you don't know which one opens up the bottom of the pañata. The players are determined by throwing and catching the ribbon like we were doing. To begin, players are blindfolded, spun 3 times, and then the group guides them to reach for the ribbon. So it's a group effort. So you're blindfolded, you have to find the right colored ribbon. When you find the ribbon, then you lead the next activity, and when it's completed, then you throw the ribbon over your head to the next player, and then once you've pulled all 7 ribbons, you can start to pull the black and the white ribbons. Oh, listen, and you can fill your Fuñata with candy, with fruits, nuts, presents, you know, or you can be creative and you can fill it with another task. You know, so we're learning the penas and tasks for each ribbon. Red is best. Orange is right. Y luego, ¿qué color sigue? Amarillo. With yellow, you'll dare have a secret to share. Like this. So can you throw the yellow ribbon for us? Is this somewhere?
Look, everyone. Wait, am I throwing it behind me?
Good. We're play with the three of you. Okay. This is a game of secrets. Game of secrets. These cones represent the seven deadly sins. The bright colors symbolize these colors symbolize temptation. The stick for breaking the piñata represents the gospel. The ribbon covering the eyes symbolizes blind faith. The person is spun 33 times in memory of the life of Christ. The piñata is positioned above our heads so that we are reaching up to fruits, candies, and treasures inside represent the riches of the kingdom of heaven that one gets when killing Satan and overcoming the deadly sins. Let's take a whack at it. Bianca, can I get your help here? Okay. May I put this blindfold on you, sinner? Ye of little faith. Yes, we need a blindfold. Can you help her? Can you help her please put the blindfold on? Please string up this dark angel in sheep's clothing glasses. Now you have the power to give and take away. Tempt us. The road to repentance is bumpy, isn't it? We have to know that sometimes we swing at dead air. Don't make it easy for us. We need a sinner for the spinner. A sinner for the spinner. A sinner for the spinner. A spinner for the sinner. A spinner for the sinner. Did I say sinner for the spinner? I meant spinner for the sinner. It's hot here in Miami. Heat stroke. Okay, can you hear? Oh, and your name is? Roberto. So can you stand behind? Dale, 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 no pierdas el vino, porque si lo pierdes, pierdes el camino. Sinner one, I'm going to give you your, here it is. I might ask you to move. Yes, evil. You must destroy our first sin, gluttony, gula. That overindulgent, salivating intestine, sticking out its long, hungry tongue, compelling you to ignore your aggravating acid reflux. Yeah, that's one. Bueno pues, echen confites y dale, panelones, palo dale, que son muy dragones.
Grass falls from the piñata.
Glory! You have abstained, sinner. Spinner, can you take her blindfold up? You have abstained, Flavio. You make your way back home, cleansed and liberated. You have every right to gloat, you goddess. Yes! You have a chance to cleanse yourself of sin? Roberto, who among us will spin our second sinner? Who among us will spin our second sinner? We have a spinner for the sinner. A spinner for the sinner! Okay, can you be in charge of putting the blindfold on? Oh, you're great at it! That's self-loathing! Self-loathing rearing its ugly head! You're great at it! Greed, avaricia. This cone here, holding its long, bony finger at you, that's greed. Accumulating, calculating, hoarding, that's Warden of the scene. You know what to do, convert. Sever that sin. Repent, repent, repent. No quiero, dale, dale. No quiero oro, no quiero plata. Yo lo que quiero romper la piñata. Oh, pity, you didn't have the strength to overcome your sin. Bye-bye, unlucky sinner. Bye. Go sit your humble ass down. All right, you. Your name is? It doesn't matter, you're a sinner! You're a sinner! Yes, yes. Test your resilience. Who among us will have the honor of spinning this poor soul? Of spinning this poor soul? Of spinning this poor soul? Be our guide, we're lost sheep. Pride. Pride. Soberbia. Oh, you're better than us. You don't need God because you have a mirror. Must be destroyed. Something must be spilled. Dale. Jaja. La piñata tiene caca, tiene caca, tiene caca. Guantes de a montón. Dale, dale, dale. Murder. Yeah. You destroyed the dark power. Go sit your humble ass down.
Dirt falls from the piñata.
You see? ¡Envidia! Yeah! Oh, envy! Yes, sinner. Are you bent there with envidia? You look greenish with envy. You look... Okay, we're giving the job to someone else. You look bad there with envidia. Oh, I'm so jealous of Rick's pear-shaped figure. Receding hairline and mangled Spanish. I know. Calm down, Peter. Who among us will spin? Who will be a spinner for the sinner? A spinner for the sinner. A spinner for the sinner. A spinner for the sinner. Marco. Vamos, Marco. Marco. Sinner 5. We're looking into Bianca, we're looking into the void, staring Armageddon in the face, on the bladed edge of the apocalypse. You have to save us. You have to save us. Okay. Spin, spin, spin. Come on, Sinner 4. Come on, Sinner 4. Beat that fairy to a pulp. Go back to the infierno you came from, you rotten chupacabras, with your twisted malice smirk. Dale! Easy! 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 No le das ni un palo por el pino, porque tienes cara de puro pecado. You missed! You missed! You missed! You missed, Borisina! You missed! The monster lives! Go back and let your people console you. Come. Come and face your destiny. This is not a game. This is a race against time. Who is? You are brave enough to dance with destiny. You are brave enough to hold the strings of salvation. Gracias, serpiente, you know what to do. Sinner 5, con tus ojos llenos de deseo. Por Dios, don't look at me that way. Undressing me with your eyes. Necia, you animal. Lust, lujuria. A carnal desire so painful you want to rip your eyes out. Kill, kill, kill! Dale, dale, dale. No pierdas el tino. Mire la distancia de aire del camino. didn't succumb to the temptations of the Go back to your throne and wallow in your inocencia. Ahora, ¿qué sigue? ¿Qué sigue? ¡Pereza! ¡Sloth! ¡Qué hueva! I'm too lazy to host this show. This game is boring. Can we just swipe left and find something else to watch? Sinner 6. Sinner 6. Sinner 6. Sinner. Come over here and exercise yourself with some exercise. We need, why am I working so hard? Someone hold up Satan. Someone do it. Just do it. Ya me diste dos. Ya me diste Oh, what a pity, what a pity. Swipe left and go recharge your battery. Sinner 7. Sinner 7. You're our last hope. You're our last hope. You're our last hope. Put on your mask and take your weapon. I have it. We have one sin left. ¿Sabes cuál es? ¿Cuál es?
I don't have the sun.
Ah! But just turn it off! Mira! What does unfiltered hatred look like, huh? What does unfiltered hatred look like? Show me! Show me odio! Show me with your face! Rabia, show me! What does malice look like in slow motion? How would you annihilate this dark power hanging in front of you? Con ira! In slow-mo! Slower, pero con muchas ganas! What is on the receiving end of that stick? Slower! An enemy? Slower! An ideology? Your own weakness? Self-loathing? Demons disguised in Disney pink? Dale, 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 dale y no le dio. Quítenle la venda, porque sigo yo. I can't finish this talk. I'm sorry. I feel sick. I'm sorry. This is so embarrassing. I shouldn't have come. I'm not ready. I'm so sorry. Look, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back to my hotel room. I'm gonna go somewhere and I'm just gonna get myself together. I'm just gonna go out to the inspiration line. My dad wrote there. I can walk. I'm really sorry. I'll be back later. Hey, if the Fuñata arrives, I'll try to, Michelle, we'll just, if anybody's interested, we can just, okay, I'll see you later.
Change of the light as the presentation space disappears and reveals the Arizona desert panorama with the Superstition Mountains in the distance.
I fucked up the presentation. I fucked it up. You saw the whole thing. It was a train wreck. I remember I was standing there in the middle of my talk, and then you disappeared. And then I remembered you disappeared. And when you disappeared, my birthday disappeared. And when my birthday disappeared, my father disappeared. And when my father disappeared, I became became invisible. My job was to talk about the Fuñata, and I didn't realize how hard that would be, because to talk about the Fuñata, I have to talk about the piñata, and then I have to talk about Satan. I wrote this to honor my promise to my dad, but underneath it's about my mother's fear and secrets and shame. And then my mind started spinning that broken record. Oh, you're disingenuous. Oh, you're a fraud. You don't belong here. You're not man enough. You're not gay enough. You're not talented enough. You're not smart enough. You're not rich enough. You're not handsome enough. You're not American enough. You're not Latino enough. And that was my father's legacy. Way down under the terrain, his wrath, his resentment was being abandoned and ignored and treated with contempt right here.
Sound of a rattlesnake. Rick freezes and stares down the rattlesnake, slowly raising his stick. The rattlesnake rears up in front of Rick.
First, my birthday.
He strikes the snake.
Then Easter.
He strikes the snake.
Then
He
Christmas.
strikes the snake. He
Halloween.
strikes the snake.
El Día de los
He
Muertos.
strikes the snake.
And then my father disappeared.
He rips open the wrapped piñata, and various sized gems and mineral rocks cascade from the piñata. As Rick drops to collect the rocks, the light bumps up to a scorching level, invoking a hallucination. The theater shakes, sound of a 6.6 decibel earthquake, and a ghostly tapping behind the walls.
I feel the earth move on the roof. I feel the sky tumbling down. I feel my heart.
Lights fade up and down on parts of the space like spectral figures in the corners of the room. As Rick spins off stage, the piñata drops down like the millennium approaches. Darkness except for a spotlight on the piñata. We are inside of the inspiration line. The piñata speaks.
Happy birthday, ladies and gentlemen. You wanted an angel in America? You got a calavera to la vista. Y ahora, Latinxers de todos colores y ambientes, for your sinful pleasure, les presento la reina de los huecos, the diva with the deepest fault lines, the mother lode. Un aplauso fuerte para la Gloria!
Give it up for La Fuñata! Hey, Fuñata, you missed your other show. What are you doing here? Huh? El Niño Perdido's heat stroke hallucination? You know? Right here. This Guillermo de Toro inspired hallucination. Let the people see, hey, let the people see your drag. Uh-huh. Day wear. Evening wear. Yeah, on one side, a classy calavera. Woo! The other side, a snappy sage. Woo! Now, some call this the devil's shaft, the tunnel to inferno, the mouth of darkness. Mi amorcito just call it glorious hall and dinner theater. Bienvenidos. Excuse me? Excuse me? Can I help you? Huh? Mija! Mija! Can't you see there's a show going on? You're a little late. Huh? Who? I don't care. No, honey, this is glorious Holden Taco Bar. All we got is tequila and aguardiente. Can I see some ID? Look, God, get out of here. You see that rabbit over there? Why don't you follow his white ass out of here, okay? Excuse me? What? Malparida, no baby, you eat me. Look, there is one thing nastier than a red queen, and that is a big bad brown one. Right there, run, girl, run! Rosa, I'm telling you, these children are working me tonight. Well, you came here for adventure, didn't you? Hey, Fuñata, listen, before we start the strip show, Glory's back, and now her front. Vale. We all have two sides, ¿verdad, Fuñata? Let's show them. Okay, all right. Showtime, presenting the color green. Verde. Costume shade. Verde con negro, caminando ciego. Green is a lark with a walk in the dark. Green is walking and moving forward through your fear with an arm on your shoulder in solidarity. And when you pull the green ribbon, you find a partner and you lead them around blindfolded. And then you switch. Can I play this with you, Mija? Not today. Okay. Mijito, can I play this with you? The green ribbon. It's like this. It's all right. It's very simple. And so with the partner, you take them around and you show them. And you flip and touch things. It's trust. It's trust. It's safe. I see you got your plan here early. Bueno, mijito, thank you. And that is green. Green is trust. This is our green. Oh, and now, let's see how el niño perdido, el hijo de piedra, the hyphenated homo, finds his way out of this hallucination and back to his hotel room where the Fuñata and Michelle will be waiting for him. Watch as he uses the game to get him out of this maze. Ah, this is too much fun for a Tuesday night. Yeah, you all could have been in a library tonight. Think about it. El minero and La Luz met, learning to tango at a finca with the magical voice of Carlos Gardel serenading them. La Luz fell in love when he shared the devotion for his mother and his hermanitos. El minero made fun of the enormous size of the Colombian tamal. La Luz made fun of his Spanish. They married in Medellin, came back to San Diego, went to San Diego and came back to San Diego after looking for myself and raised 3 kids, bouncing between LA and San Diego to follow my dad's work with rocks. El Minero sometimes disappeared for long stretches of time to survey the desert, ocean, and mountains, which he loved. But La Luz was alone and scared, and then an earthquake hit. The big one, the biggest one I ever felt. 6 a.m. on February 9th, 1971, the Silmar earthquake. That was the day the devil arrived. Doing the Richter scale rock, the landslide Lambada, LA County, San Fernando Valley, Woodland Hills, the epicenter is right between my hips. La Luz runs out into the street screaming, Armageddon! Armageddon! El Minero behind her begging her to calm down. It's just the Colombian Chicken Little. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. La Luz is a Jehovah's Witness. Un testigo de Jehová. So are my 2 sisters. When our birthdays disappeared, La Luz told us we weren't Catholic anymore. Not my dad. El Minero was never religious. He studied earth, not heaven. Witnesses don't salute the flag, refuse blood transfusions, don't celebrate pagan-based holidays, Easter, Christmas, Halloween, El Dia de los Muertos, birthdays. and at the time were forbidden to play the piñata because it's the symbol of Satan. Supposedly, La Luz became a witness because of me. She said that some people knocked at her door and talked to her about their beliefs. That was during the Vietnam War. And then they said that they don't send their sons to war, conscientious objectors, pacifists. Listen, she said. And even though I was 7, she was pretty freaked out about the traps. She didn't want to send me off into that kind of Armageddon. So she began studying the Bible at the Kingdom Hall because of me. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure. And the more time we were spending in the Kingdom Hall, the more frustrated El Minero became and obsessed with his poems and inventions. He tried to patent a thimble pen, a pen point attached to a thimble. It looked something like this, and a piece of colored plastic with suction cups that he called fun glasses. As a kid, I thought it was so stupid. Why was he wasting his time on thimbles and suction cups? Why? So embarrassing. Around the time of the Silmar earthquake was when El Minero found his trove of goodies in the garbage. There was an art supply warehouse located behind his office in the San Fernando Valley where we were living at the time. He found a shitload of ribbon and colored paper in their dumpster one day and wondered what he could do with it. And maybe because we stopped celebrating birthdays and he was searching for something to connect, for whatever reason, he looked at the waste and he thought, piñata! And then he had his aha moment. When El Minero announced that his new project was going to be based on a piñata, La Luz exploded. You're not bringing the devil into this house. There were arguments and accusations, gritos fuertes. It was a 6.66 on the Richter scale. The ground cracks, buildings topple, gas lines explode, the earth shifted, and El Minero lost his ground. He retreated into his poems and inventions. He disappeared into the ocean, the desert, the mountains, and holes in the earth. That's when my pesadillas began. In my nightmares, I'd hear tapping behind the walls, dream about Satan, see ghostly figures outside my window, sleep with my feet under the blanket so that demons couldn't touch them, which I still do. Azul es tu reflejo. Mírate en el espejo. Blue and your reflection will make a deep connection. Blue is your mirror. It invites you to pay attention and to really see each other. It's a mirror activity with a partner. La Luz. Marina Ramirez de Naranjo, born in Medellin, Colombia. She loves syncopation, orchids, and the quemado at the bottom of the rice pot. Burnt rice was what she got as one of the older kids in a poor family of 17. La Luz never had a doll, but changed a lot of diapers. She was deeply devoted to her mother and loathed her father. Her father would drink his salary away, so La Luz dropped out of school at 14 to support her family. Her brothers and sisters suffered his physical abuse, and when he went after her mother, she was the only one who stood up for him. One day she caught him on the street with one of his mistresses and lit a fire under her. She was looking for a way out. So was El Minero. His father left when he was a baby and went back to Alvechi. He started working in the copper mines at 14 to feed his 9 brothers and sisters. He adored his mother, who was alone and far from her home in Cachihuahua. El Minero worked hard to protect his family. Deep inside the mine shafts, longing to lift his family out of poverty and to get an education, he caught the brass ring with the GI Bill and joined the Navy. After his service in the Korean War, he went on to earn university degrees in geology. He and his sister Vasilisa brought the family to San Diego. But El Minero was restless. He wanted more adventure. He followed a job to Colombia to work on an oil rig in the jungles near Medellin. Looking for even more adventure, he went prospecting for gold in La Selva. No mother lode in the jungle, but he saw la luz. El minero and la luz met, learning to take tango at a finca, with the magical voice of Carlos Gardel serenading them.
I don't dance.
It's okay, I'll teach you.
One of the lights, too bright here.
All the gringos are dancing, it looks like they're having fun. You've been standing in the corner since you got here, holding one glass of agua.
I take my time.
Show these gringos that Mexicanos tienen ritmo también.
I run fast, I throw far, I jump high, I work hard. Faster, farther, higher, and harder than them.
Okay, no te enojes, okay? I was just kidding. You want me to stop?
No.
Okay, then take a big step and dance.
Oh.
Years later in San Diego, they're getting their exercise on an afternoon walk at Mission Bay. El Minero is walking with his hands stiffly at his sides.
¿Qué haces pues?
Walking with my hands at my side, notice?
Porque he looks silly.
Marina, porque dicen que es mejor para la salud, para el cuerpo y para el corazón.
Ay, no seas absurdo.
Does the Bible say I can't walk like this?
Mira, ¿por qué tienes que pelearte? El día es precioso, estamos afuera. Todo el mundo está gozando el sol, pero tú sigues enojando conmigo.
No, Marina, no estoy enojado, no estoy criticando, estoy caminando con mis manos sueltas.
Estrechos.
Sueltos, así es más fácil caminar con los elbows bent and pumping back and forth y menos esfuerzo.
Okay, forget it. I don't want to talk anymore. Déjalo.
Okay, I'll come out from the sky. And here's the reason why.
Why?
I'm trying to think of a rhyme that goes with why, I, shy, guy, try, die. If I'm not a guy who will die eating pie,
Oh my God. You call me dramatic? Hey, bobo.
Please,
They
please,
freeze.
please tell me, what is this feeling? What is this feeling that I have done something wrong and that I'm guilty? Why do we have to have so many secrets? Where did my birthday go? Can I get it back? I'm going to go back to the conference and finish the talk.
Works for me.
I'll see you at the hotel. Red, dance, orange, song, yellow, secret, green, trust, blue, near. The indigo key is your empathy. Encontrar conexión con tu compasión. Indigo connects us with compassion and empathy. This is at the heart of my Father's kingdom. This right here. It's an activity with a partner. Maybe with somebody you know well, or somebody you're meeting for the first time, and you dare to share what's inside your piñata with an indigo question like, describe a time you had a great laugh. Who is your hero and why? Who do you turn to for help? How superstitious are you? What are you most afraid of? When in your life did you make lemonade out of lemons? What scares you the most? My longest relationship to date has been with a Roman Catholic priest. End of story. I just want to sleep with my feet uncovered and not bug out. I want to swim in deep water then. I want to live with my eyes and my heart open. I want to believe I'm enough. Our last minute, vital. Violeta la gloria es compartiendo tu historia. Violet is glory, sharing your story. Violet is your story. Maybe you have a piñata story too. Write it down, post it right here in the space, or you have a photo memory, a drawing. It has a place here. That's your story, this is mine. Hannah Lotna turned 3 yesterday. I wasn't in Berlin for her birthday. She speaks German with her mothers, and I'm teaching her some words in Spanish. We dance cumbia, salsa, merengue every time we're together, like I did at home with my family. Hannah loves to swim. She isn't afraid of the deep water. She's fearless. I've been asked 4 times in my life to be a father. The first time was by a classmate in Cornell. When I was 18 or 19, Monica. Beautiful woman from Detroit, fierce. And the second time was in Minneapolis when I was about 30, and the third time was in New York City when I was about 40. Amazing women. And I didn't see that with myself. About a year after my father died, I was asking my friend Stephanie in Berlin if I wanted to help her friend Melanie get pregnant. And without much hesitation, I said, yeah, I need to pass my father's story on. So I'm figuring it out with her mothers and with Hannah as we go along. And my mother and my sisters, they don't know about you. I just don't know how to accept you, and I'm afraid of that fault line, that star, that eruption, that next earthquake. And it's another secret that I have to hide from my family. La Luz, she doesn't know I'm here. She doesn't know you're here. But you're here. She wouldn't like this party. It's a pagan, it's worldly. I talk about piñatas and Satan. There's no pretty bow on this story. It doesn't resolve. It's still working it out. Anyway, that's my story. Before I go, the Japanese have a philosophy that embraces cracks and imperfections. Kintsugi is the art of repairing broken pottery with gold dust. It doesn't walk away from scars, it fixes them. My dad would have loved our Kintsugi party today. Mi mamá, no tanto, but I'm still trying to fix those cracks with gold dust. I celebrated my father's creation with all its flaws and imperfections. That was my promise, and that's enough. Thank you.
Very old. Yeah. Very personal.
to attack those that are other. And I see that coming back in such a big way. It just hurts so much.
What else?
Need for like a season on tell a story. Yeah, strong need. Get the doctor.
What else? What's that?
Participation, just like interact.
Would you say more about that? What about the
I
participation?
think it like started us, it put us in the spot of like the screen story each one of us we were like part of the story.
Secrets stay with you. I know I had a class, some of different levels and, yeah. That's what keeps resonating with me, is how secrets affect you. And I was like, I can go on all those things. I kept getting that notion of secrets and shame and, you know, and busting secrets open.
I think it shows the interplay of the human psyche. It's not straightforward, you got both sides interplaying with each other. And it was very well done. Maybe refined a bit.
I like the fact that the colors have voice.
What was unclear? What was confusing?
Nothing is final. It doesn't have to be clear. That's the way life is.
Do that.
So, keeps going on and on.
The introduction of the parents, and I don't know what it is, the little book here,
Sorry, if I go back to the first question, because it took me a while to figure out how to seeing the way that the father in Fuñata saw an imperfect world and tried to create something better that was perhaps also flawed, but that creative impulse that drives us to keep trying to create something better, whether that's through lineage or an object, was beautiful.
Back to the, yes?
It was unclear, I was comparing, the piñata is a children's celebratory thing, I think that's what it is. So I was, when you were saying, when you said, when you were saying about la piñata, it was a game, it didn't seem like comparable, I didn't know how it was going to replace. You know, it felt more like a board game, like a rules kind of thing, it was too, yeah.
More complex.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps because we didn't
Very good.
Very beautiful, actually.
And now right over here. You can come back.
Yeah. Come back.
Were you able to follow the basic gameplay of the Fuñata even without seeing it? Brand new. Yes.
Yeah, the birthday, getting the birthday back. I know I walked in late, so I'm wondering what the opening day of reveal that I didn't see, but I was confused about that. What that actually meant, if there was a tangible explanation or a feeling. And then that connects to what Elizabeth spoke about, these music and what she called sort of confessional style coming out. To me, this is all a healing, his personal healing journey and connecting with his father on a level that he didn't while his father was alive. So the embarrassment, the denial of his father's desires, more or less, right? And then reconciling or reckoning his way with that after his passing. And I'm just speaking all pieces that are popcorn that's in my mind. And then the Fuñata, so he shared with us some really violent aspects of the story, the history of the Fuñata, that are violent aspects that are hidden in our society, our civilization. And what his father did was remove the violent aspects and create this interactive, collaborative experience, right? So, yeah, I want to name that as things that I received from it, and that I saw him receiving from it in the awakening and in the grief and regret of not having seen his father for what he was really bringing through. And the moment of that he described of when there was a big earthquake fight between La Luz and El Minero around La Fuñata, and how he was just sort of defeated in that. I saw that dissolving of his spirit and that stuff.
Time for just a few more minutes. What questions do you have? About anything to do with the talk? When we come back for round two. That is part of the plan, though, that we eventually get to pair the piece with the playing of the game. As it becomes a little bit more community oriented.
Was it intentional to have the reason that, like, you couldn't have Fuñatas or birthday, like, us finding out about his mom's religion? Was that, like, intentional to find out later? Or, like, I thought there were clues earlier, and even, like, one of the parts where he's like, oh, I'm not going to get into that yet, or something. Is that on purpose? And we don't find out, so kind of pass it along. Or are you supposed to kind of, like, figure it out?
I remember hating when people do this, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, when it came out, I thought, like, oh, okay, that explains it, but through, like, right before that and listening to it and the problems with that and the hints, like, about the homosexuality stuff, that, I don't know, I just kept thinking, like, well, why, what's your deal, what's your problem with it, like, throughout, I don't know, it might have maybe could have had a little bit of a hint prior to that being, and I know a lot of people do this, so prevalent in my community to have that, like, Catholic people, religious people, and I didn't have it, so it's interesting to see similar stories of not having religious
this would be a continuum of a number of different stories. There's no end. It goes on, and that's life. It goes on and on and